Hey folks, before we jump in, make sure you're following SkyAlert USA to catch this video and all our future updates. If you want to support us, just hit that subscribe button, give us a like and drop a comment below. It really helps us out. Welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your #1 source for real-time weather intelligence across the United States and Canada. I'm your host, and today, Saturday, February 21st, 2026, we have a lot to cover. Winter is not done with us, not even close. As the shattered remains of the polar vortex continue to send shockwaves through North America's weather pattern, multiple storm systems are hammering the country simultaneously. From lake-effect snow blitzing the Great Lakes, to a powerful coastal storm threatening New England with blizzard conditions, to an almost unbelievable warm-up across the desert Southwest. Stay locked in, because this is one of the most complex weather setups we've seen all season. To understand what we're seeing today, we need to go back to the root cause, the sudden stratospheric warming event that occurred at the very start of 2026. This was not an ordinary event. Temperature anomalies in the mid-stratosphere exceeded 50 degrees Celsius above normal. A reading so extreme that meteorologists described it as a textbook-perfect vortex collapse trigger. What this means in plain language is that the polar vortex, the atmospheric barrier that normally keeps Arctic air locked up near the North Pole, essentially cracked open, split into two, and began spilling its contents southward. The effects were felt almost immediately. Beginning in mid-January, a parade of Arctic air masses began punching southward into the continental United States and Canada. The January 23rd to 27th North American winter storm, dubbed Winter Storm Fern by the Weather Channel and labelled Snowmageddon by residents across the Midwest, became one of the deadliest and most costly winter disasters in decades. As of early February, that storm alone had been linked to over 171 confirmed deaths across the continent and damages exceeding $4 billion. Governors in 24 states had declared states of emergency. National Guard troops were activated in 12 states. Over 10,000 flights were cancelled. Snow covered more than half the contiguous United States simultaneously. Now, as we stand here on February 21st, the atmosphere is still deeply disturbed. A second complicating factor has entered the picture. La Niña is rapidly fading toward ENSO neutral, which means the tropical Pacific Ocean is losing its grip on the jet stream. The result? High-latitude atmospheric dynamics, including blocking patterns, Arctic incursions and lake-effect snow machines, are now running the show largely unchecked. This is the environment we're operating in right now, and it will shape North American weather for weeks to come. Let's go region by region and break down what is happening right now on this Saturday morning. An upper-level low-pressure system that was centered over the Great Lakes as of Friday is now tracking eastward toward the Atlantic. But as it exits, it's leaving behind an extremely active lake-effect snow machine across the eastern shores of all 5 Great Lakes. This pattern is expected to persist not just today, but well into Monday, February 23rd. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings for multiple counties in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, including Baraga, Marquette, Iron, Dickinson, Keweenaw, and Menominee counties. Snowfall accumulations in some of these warning areas are forecast to reach an additional 4 to 10 inches on top of what has already fallen. The combination of cold lake surface temperatures, strong westerly winds, and abundant moisture is creating intense, narrow snow bands that can dump several inches per hour in localized corridors. If you're traveling in the Upper Peninsula or downwind areas of Lake Superior and Lake Michigan today, expect near whiteout conditions and extremely hazardous road conditions. Further south and east, Lake Ontario and Lake Erie are also spinning up their own snow bands, targeting areas of western and northern New York State. Buffalo and the surrounding communities, already veterans of some of the most brutal lake effect events in history, are again in the crosshairs of potentially significant accumulations through the weekend. This is where things get serious. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories remain in effect today across portions of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire and Maine. These alerts were issued by the NWS on Friday and remain active through this Saturday, February 21st. In southwest Maine and large areas of New Hampshire, warning-level snowfall totals of 5 to 8 inches are being measured from yesterday through this morning. In northern Vermont and northern New York, areas that have seen repeated storm events this winter, an additional 4 to 11 inches of snow is expected, with ice accumulations up to a quarter inch in some mixed precipitation zones. The mid-Atlantic region is also not spared. Parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey and coastal New England are under winter weather advisories for a mix of snow, sleet and freezing rain. Ice accumulations of 0.1 to 0.25 inches are possible, which is more than enough to make roads glass-like and cause tree limb failures. The Philadelphia Area National Weather Service office had issued briefings warning of freezing rain and icing conditions across Carbon and Monroe counties in Pennsylvania, as well as Sussex County in New Jersey. Southern New England, including parts of Connecticut, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, faces accumulations of a coating to 3 inches of snow and sleet, with ice accretions up to 0.2 inches. While this may sound modest, in combination with Friday's overnight ice and Saturday morning refreezing, travel in these areas is extremely hazardous. If you are in the northeast today, do not travel unless absolutely necessary. Road surfaces are icy, visibility is reduced in heavy snow bands, and emergency services are already stretched thin. Simultaneously, a separate low-pressure system over the southern plains is tracking southeastward toward the central Gulf Coast by this Saturday evening. This system has been producing snow over the central plains and the middle Mississippi Valley through this morning. As temperatures rise across the southern portion of the system's track, precipitation will be transitioning from snow and mixed precipitation over to showers and thunderstorms across portions of the Gulf Coast states. The Storm Prediction Center had been monitoring this system for convective potential. While not a major severe weather outbreak, localized strong thunderstorms with gusty winds are possible across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi and Alabama later today into Sunday. On the opposite side of the country, an extremely potent upper-level low with 500 millibar heights below the first percentile according to the North American Ensemble Forecast System, or NAEFS, is slowly spinning off the Pacific coast this weekend. This is, honestly, a historic trough depth for this region, and it's driving moisture and lift ashore across the Pacific Northwest today. Rain is the primary precipitation type for coastal Washington and Oregon. However, higher elevation snow is occurring across the Cascades and portions of the Northern California mountains, where several feet of additional snow will accumulate through the weekend. Highway closures and chain controls are in effect on multiple mountain passes. Looking ahead, this system will act as the precursor to a powerful atmospheric river that's expected to drench western Oregon and northern and central California by Monday and Tuesday. Rainfall totals from that event could exceed several inches in short periods, raising concerns about flooding and debris flows in burn-scar areas. Here is the wild contrast that defines this weather pattern. While the northeast is buried in snow and ice, the desert southwest and Texas are basking in record warmth territory. The Weather Prediction Center is forecasting temperatures 15 to 25 degrees above average for the southwest beginning this weekend and persisting through next week. That translates to highs in the 80s across Texas and temperatures potentially exceeding 90 degrees in parts of the desert southwest, including Arizona and Southern California. Cities like Phoenix may approach record February highs. This extreme warmth is not just unusual, it is a direct result of the atmospheric pattern. A strong upper-level ridge building over the west is acting as a counterweight to the trough over the northeast, and it is pulling in exceptionally warm, dry air from the south. Fire weather concerns may increase across portions of the southwest and Texas during afternoon hours with low humidity and gusty winds. In Canada, the situation remains deeply unsettled. British Columbia's mountain ranges are collecting significant snowpack from the Pacific systems moving through. The prairie provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are experiencing a brief moderation, but temperatures are still well below seasonal norms for many communities. Ontario and Quebec, meanwhile, are seeing residual impacts from the northeastern storm system, with lake-enhanced snow continuing along Georgian Bay and eastern Lake Huron shores. The Toronto region has been through an exceptionally brutal winter, including a major snow event in late January that triggered the city's major snow response plan for the second time in the same season. Atlantic Canada, including Nova Scotia, New Brunswick and Newfoundland, are tracking additional systems that may bring snow and strong winds through the weekend. All right, let's dive into the 3-day forecast for February 22nd through the 24th, 2026. On Sunday, February 22nd, the coastal low associated with today's northeast storm will continue to move eastward and strengthen offshore, keeping heavy snow and high winds focused across southern New England, especially eastern Massachusetts. The WPC's extended forecast discussion flags the potential for significant wind gusts and coastal hazards across Cape Cod and the islands. Snowfall totals in the hardest-hit areas could top 12 inches by the time all is said and done. Lake-effect snow bands will continue to rage across the Great Lakes, particularly targeting the Tug Hill Plateau in New York and the snowbelt communities of Michigan. Meanwhile, the atmospheric river begins to organize in the Pacific, targeting western Oregon and northern California. Rainfall in excess of 3 to 5 inches is possible in some locations, creating flooding and mudslide concerns. In contrast, the desert southwest continues its historic warmth, with Phoenix possibly challenging February temperature records. Now, moving on to Monday, February 23rd. Monday brings a brief lull to the eastern tier as the coastal low finally pulls away, though lake-effect snow will persist across the Great Lakes. The atmospheric river makes landfall across the Pacific Northwest, and sweeps southward into California, bringing heavy rainfall to coastal areas and heavy mountain snow above 4,000 feet. The Sierra Nevada could see several feet of additional snow from this event. An upper-level ridge will strengthen over the western United States, sending unusually warm air deep into the central states. The northern plains will see a brief period of mild temperatures before the next system arrives. Clipper-type systems begin to organize across the northern tier, setting the stage for Tuesday's threats. And then, on Tuesday, February 24th, Clipper systems, fast-moving, compact storm systems that race from the northern plains across the Midwest and Great Lakes, are expected to bring light to moderate snow to portions of the northern tier on Tuesday. While individual Clipper events rarely produce life-threatening amounts, they can catch travelers off guard with quick-hitting snow squalls and rapidly falling visibility. Ahead of a broader frontal system, precipitation chances begin to expand across the eastern third of the United States by Wednesday. Weather models suggest that depending on the exact track and thermal profiles, some portions of the northeast could see additional snow accumulations from this system mid-week. Temperatures in the central and southern United States will remain above average, which could lead to a sharp, severe weather setup if Gulf moisture surges northward ahead of the frontal boundary. At SkyAlert USA, keeping you safe is our top priority. Here is a summary of the active alerts in effect as of February 21st, 2026. Winter storm warnings are in place for the Michigan Upper Peninsula, northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and southwest Maine. Winter weather advisories are active for central New York, northeast Pennsylvania, coastal Maine, southern New England, that's Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and portions of northern New Jersey. Ice accumulation warnings are up for parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, with up to a quarter-inch of ice possible. There's a flood watch for portions of western Oregon and northern California beginning Sunday. And there's a fire weather concern for the desert southwest and Texas, elevated due to dry, windy and warm conditions. For emergency resources, if you need shelter and warming center locations, just text SHELTER plus your zip code to 43362. Download the FEMA app for real-time alerts in your area. Make sure to enable wireless emergency alerts on your phone. And don't forget to visit weather.gov and sign up for local NWS alerts. What a week it continues to be. The collapse of the polar vortex in mid-February has set off a chain reaction across North America's weather pattern that is far from over. Multiple storm systems are active simultaneously in the northeast, the Great Lakes, the Pacific Northwest, while the south and southwest experience an almost surreal warmth that is creating extreme temperature contrasts across the country. Over the next 3 days, we will continue to watch the trailing coastal low, the incoming atmospheric river in the west, and the Clipper train threatening the northern tier. At SkyAlert USA, we will keep updating you every step of the way. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a critical weather update. If you're in an affected area, please prioritize your safety over everything else today. Check on your neighbors, keep emergency kits ready, and stay off the roads unless you absolutely must travel. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you at the next update right here on SkyAlert USA.